Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, I hope you guys are keeping well. Make sure to smash the like button on this video, guys. Keep supporting the channel, guys. Keep smashing the like button. I really appreciate if you do smash the like button because it really helps with the algorithm. It helps the channel grow. It really helps me grow. So I really appreciate you guys showing the love, showing the support. You know, over the years, as I say all the time, I appreciate it. So thank you very much for liking the videos, sharing the videos, subscribing to the channel. It's always great talking to you guys on the live stream. But yeah, just keep showing the support, just keep showing the love, and we'll hopefully keep talking to each other in the live streams. But yeah, let me get into this video, guys. There's been interesting things going around, you know, Connor Benn, victory over Algeria. You know, it's been doing the rounds on the internet because, you know, it was quite a brutal knockout. You know, when it's a brutal knockout like that for a young up-and-coming star, there's always, you know, trending on social media. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people getting carried away about it as well. You know, let me get this out there. Connor Benn is a very improved British fighter. He's improved massively. When I first saw him, I thought, nah, this guy's not going to go very far. But he's actually now managed to mold himself into actually a very good fighter, and he is showing improvement. His head movement was brilliant. The way he was jabbing, you know, his right hand was great. You know, he was very confident in there. And Josh Taylor made a good point on Twitter saying that, you know, Algeria seems like a sparring partner. Algeria's old. He's 37 years of age. He's seen better days. He's not the fighter he was. He's not a big puncher, never been a big puncher. But I want to talk about Eddie Hearn in the post-fight interview. You know, Eddie Hearn said that Connor Benn would knock Amir Khan out in 2 rounds. As soon as he hits Amir Khan on the chin, Amir Khan would go to sleep. What do I make of that comment? Connor Benn, for me, right now, would beat Amir Khan, just because I think Amir Khan's not the fighter he was. In his prime, no chance. Amir Khan would dismantle Connor Benn easily. It would be quite one-way traffic, because Connor Benn's really still very wild. He's quite, you know, easily to read, and Khan would have been very, very dangerous for someone like Connor Benn, because what you got to understand is that Khan wasn't just, he was a very offensively gifted, and his hand speed was ridiculously fast, and he had power behind that as well. I know people say he didn't have power. Believe me, he hit guys, they hurt. Look at Maidana if he didn't have power. Ask Lamont Peterson if he didn't have power. He put some really formidable guys down in the prime. Not necessarily knocked out, but he hurt guys. And Connor Benn's very wild at this particular time. He's still got a lot of flaws in his game, but at this point in their careers, you have to say Connor Benn would not. I mean, I still think offensively Amir could give Connor Benn some trouble early on in that fight. I think he could even drop Connor Benn early on in that fight, because I'm not convinced about Connor Benn's chin. I think they've been carefully selecting the opponents in terms of, I think the opponents are feather-fisted fighters. Algeria's not a big puncher, and he's old. Formella was never a big puncher. Vargas isn't a big puncher. I know he put Amir Khan down, but he's not a big puncher, because at that point in Amir Khan's career, he was done basically. And I don't think Amir Khan was a top-level fighter when he fought Vargas. And the Crawford fight showed that after the Canelo fight, Amir was never the same guy mentally, physically. You know, he wasn't, I don't believe, the fighter we once knew 10 years ago. So that kind of, for me, flattered Connor Benn, because, oh, Amir Khan got dropped by him. But Amir Khan wasn't the Amir Khan of old, you know, when he fought Samuel Vargas. So that win kind of flattered him. Virgil Ortiz knocked the stuffing out of Vargas as well. And Connor Benn did his thing, knocked Vargas out. But the point I'm trying to make here is that to say that Amir Khan, as soon as he get hit on the chin, like Connor Benn's a Canelo or something. Like, Connor Benn doesn't punch as hard as what people make out. Yeah, he landed a good shot on Algeria, and who knows, maybe if he lands a flush one on Amir Khan get knocked out. We don't know what Amir's got left, but let's put this out there. When Amir Khan was 24, 25 years of age, he fought a guy which you guys might know a little bit about, Marcus Alcino Maidana. And for you guys that followed the sport 10 years ago, right, that guy was one of the biggest punchers in the last 10, 15 years in the light welterweight and welterweight division. He was a monster. He was an absolute monster. Khan went toe to toe with that guy. I'm not saying he just boxed him. He went toe to toe in that fight against Maidana. Look how many shots he took flush on the chin. Flush. In the first round, Maidana hit him with a flush. Go watch the fight. In the first round, Maidana hit Khan with a flush right hand right on the button. Go watch the fight. I'm telling you, he hit him with a flush right hand. Maidana hit Khan in the 10th round. God knows, must have hit him with about 40 punches. He hit Khan so many times flush in that fight. Khan stayed up, never even went down. Never even went down in that fight. Never went down. You know, and the point I'm trying to make is that coming back to Connor Benn, yeah, he probably knocks Amir Khan at this stage. But look at who Amir Khan was fighting. Imagine if Amir Khan, and I said this to a subscriber, or actually on social media on Facebook, that if Amir Khan, when he was 24, 25 years of age, if he had fought a 37-year-old, what would you guys be saying? When Amir Khan, imagine if Amir Khan swerved Maidana and ended up fighting a 37-year-old. What would you guys say? You know, Amir Khan doesn't really get a lot of credit from the British public about, you know, his career and achievements, even though he's got one of the best resumes in British boxing. His resume is stupid. He doesn't really get a lot of credit. People talk about, oh, well, he's overrated or whatever. But when you look through his resume, he's fought everybody. He's fought literally everybody. Now he's going to fight Kell Brook. His resume is stupid. He took fights that he shouldn't have taken. Like, he fought Lamont Peterson in Lamont Peterson's backyard when he was the cash cow. Who does that? When he was the cash cow, Amir Khan went to Lamont Peterson's backyard and ended up getting robbed, in my opinion, because he won that fight. Then straight after that, Lamont Peterson failed a drugs test when Amir Khan was going to rematch Lamont Peterson. He fought Danny Garcia as a replacement opponent and ends up getting knocked out. Amir Khan fought Kotelnik, Salita. Then I believe he fought Malinaji, Maidana, McCluskey, Zab Judah, Lamont Peterson, Danny Garcia, Carlos Molina, Julio Diaz, Louis Collazo, and Devin Alexander, and then Louis Collazo. And then he fought Chris Algieri, and then he fought Canelo. That's Amir Khan's run. Look at that resume, and he did that all before 27 or 29, 27, something like that. Connor Benn's now how old? 25. And I get it. Connor Benn's not had the experience that Amir Khan had. Amir Khan was an Olympic silver medalist, so he had a lot of amateur pedigree. Amir Khan had like 110 amateur fights, and he won like 102 or 104 of them, something like that. So he was a very experienced fighter coming into the pro ranks compared to Benn. But the point is that Benn just knocked Algieri cold. So we obviously know he's above he's above the level of fighting 37-year-olds, former world champions that are washed up. Connor Benn knocks Amir Khan out now, most likely. Right, but Connor Benn would knock out Sugar Ray Leonard right now. What would we gain? What do you gain out of beating guys that were of the past? That's what Amir Khan is. He's a past fighter. He's not Amir Khan right now. And I don't mean this. I love Amir Khan. You guys know, but he's not even a top 15 welterweight. If we're honest, he's not even a top. Like, there's probably 15 welterweights better than him right now. The point I'm trying to make is, Amir Khan doesn't get a lot of respect from the British public at all, that much. But when Amir Khan's fight against Marcus Maidana gets put on Facebook, gets put on social media, when it gets put all over social media, everybody comes out and says, all the British fans come out and say, you know why? Because they respect the fact that he got in the ring with Maidana at the time, because Maidana was a devastating knockout artist who was a dangerous man, And Amir Khan didn't swerve that fight. He could have swerved it. He could have said, you know what, I'll vacate. Swerve Maidana. But no, he went straight into the fight. He took the fight and he beat him. People give you respect for going into a fight like that because they, even though he's not very liked, but people put their hands up and say, you know what, I've got to give you respect for that. That was some performance that was against a monster in Maidana. Maidana's the type of guy, right? If he's walking towards you in the street, you cross the road. He's that kind of, he's a monster. You don't want no problem with Maidana. Maidana's he's a beast. He does never been knocked out before. He's tough as anything. He's got a big punch. You know, he's awkward. He throws punches from awkward angles. He was a monster. Look at the fight he gave Mayweather. Look at it. Look what he did to Adrian Broner. And here's another funny thing. Eddie Hearn said Amir Khan will get knocked out as in 2 rounds. But yet, Connor Benn and Eddie Hearn are calling out Adrian Broner, the guy that's career was completely ruined by Marcus Maidana, who lost to Amir Khan. Adrian Broner couldn't take any shots from Maidana, but he took the shots. He got knocked down about 3-4 times in the fight and got totally mauled in that fight. And after that, he was never the same fighter. He was gun shy, and I believe that was the beginning of the end when he fought Broner. And that was 8 years ago. And now they're talking about fighting Broner now. But yeah, Eddie Hearn is saying that that's some kind of credible fight. And if Broner comes motivated, when has Broner, like, what fight has Broner won at world level? He's always lost. Maidana, Mikey Garcia, Manny Pacquiao, Sean Porter, he's always lost to anybody that we know about. Even Malignaggi in my opinion, beat Broner. That was a very close fight. Malignaggi was a very close fight. And Khan fought Malignaggi like three years before that and knocked him out. Stopped him. So how is Broner some kind of test? This is what I'm saying, is like, if you guys are getting sucked up into this, thinking Connor Benn is a monster by beating Chris Algieri and beating Formella and beating Vargas, and you think he's some kind of monster, then you can get sucked into it. Not me, because I know too much about boxing to know that, yeah, it's a good performance and he did what he had to do with someone like that. But I'm not getting carried away. Because I know that he's fighting Algieri. Algieri's way... Like, here's the thing. Like, the thing is, he's not even fighting guys like Josecito Lopez. Like, that would be a dangerous fight because Josecito Lopez can punch. Look, he almost knocked Thurman out. We're not even hearing, like, I think the fight that the British fans want is Avenesyan, but they're not even calling out his name. They're calling out guys like Amir Khan and Broner and Brook, and these are guys, like, the only reason they're calling these type of guys out because they've got big profiles and they're past their best, way past their best. If Amir Khan was at his best, there's no way they would be putting Connor Benn in there with Amir Khan, irrespective of what Eddie Hearn says about knocking him out in 2 rounds. I don't believe that Connor Benn would knock Amir Khan out in 2 rounds right now anyway. You know, I believe he wins because I don't think Amir's got much left, but in terms of knocking him out in 2 rounds, Crawford couldn't knock Amir Khan out in 2 rounds. How the hell's Ben going to knock out Khan in 2 rounds? You know, he's not that big a puncher. Like, you just caught Algieri with a good shot, but come on. Knocking him out in 2 rounds, it's a good look, but I can see what Eddie Hearn's trying to do. Eddie Hearn's trying to use Khan's name because he knows it's a big name and he knows that that's going to go and trending over social media like it has. We're all talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. Spencer Fearon did. He was talking about it. So Eddie Hearn's doing a great job in saying that Connor Benn knocks Amir Khan out in 2 rounds. Yeah, he probably knocks Amir Khan out. Not in 2 rounds, though. Not in 2 rounds. No, not a chance. But I'd agree with him. I think at this point, we don't know what Amir Khan's got left. We'll find out more when he fights Brook, what he's got left. But regardless, Amir Khan's old now. He's past his best. He's past his sell-by date. He's not the fighter he was. He's an old man. He's inactive. He's not a full-time boxer. There's guys in the welterweight division like Jaron Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, David. Like, I'm not even... Look, I'm not even saying to Connor Benn fight Maidana type of level of fighter, because that was next level. Maidana was a monster. I'm not even telling Conor, like, we're not even, the fans don't even want him to fight that type, because Maidana was a monster. And if Maidana was around in his prime, I wouldn't expect Connor Benn to be fighting someone like Maidana right now, because Maidana would have wiped Connor Benn out at this point. The point I'm trying to make, he's not even fighting David Avenesyan, who's a European. Like, if Maidana in his prime fought David Avenesyan would get knocked out in 5 rounds, 6 rounds maximum. It wouldn't be like, Maidana was a world level fighter. He was a 2-weight world champion. You know, he knocked out a lot of top guys, and he lost very close fights to a lot of the top guys. I'm not even asking him to fight someone like Maidana. Maidana was one of my favorite fighters, by the way. He was a beast of a fighter. The point I'm trying to make is fight David Avenesyan, who's a European level fighter. David Avenesyan's probably not even a top 10 welterweight. I don't think he's a top 10 welterweight. Honestly, I don't. I think David Avenesyan got knocked out. I mean, got stopped. He got stopped by Kavaliauskas. He got knocked out by Kavaliauskas. He lost to a washed-up Lamont Peterson. So this isn't some kind of monster that they're afraid of fighting. David Avenesyan should be... Avenesyan should be fighting Connor Benn, or Connor Benn should be fighting David Avenesyan. If you're not confident about beating David... See, this is why a lot of the public are starting to be critical of Connor Benn. Not because Connor Benn seems a decent fighter. The point people are trying to make is that they don't think this guy is what they say he is. Because he's talking about fighting Broner next. And Broner is inactive. He hasn't fought for a long time. Broner's done at top level. I'm just being honest. Broner's not a top fighter anymore. Broner's not an elite level fighter anymore. And even in his prime, Broner, like I said, who did he really beat? Like, you know, come on. Let's be brutally honest about it. So, yeah, Ben would probably beat Broner. Probably go 12 rounds. And it'll be a crap fight as well. I'll tell you why. Because Broner, he hardly throws any punches anymore. I don't even see that being an exciting fight. At least a Khan or Brook fight would be quite exciting, because they'd probably let their hands go. Especially Khan, he'd let his hands go. So it'd probably be a more exciting fight. A Broner fight would be terrible to watch. Terrible to watch. Because Broner won't let his hands go, and he'll just get behind his tricky defense. Terrible fight. Terrible fight. But that's probably going to be the next fight. That's probably going to be the next fight, because that's what they're doing. They're chasing, like, past their best or part-time boxers, you know, to make their record look good and padded, because Connor Benn's got, you know, he's got that name, Ben. So they're using that to maximize, you know, his earnings. Fair enough, it's all good. Look, boxing's a short career. I can understand him doing that, because you don't want him to feed him to the sharks, because the chances are, if he fights David Avenesyan, it's a 50-50 fight. Probably, maybe Avenesyan might be a slight favorite. He probably loses to Avenesyan. He loses to Avenesyan, that's it. It's over. You know? So I can understand why they want to do what they're doing and going, hey, he'll beat Khan, he'll beat Brook, he'll beat those guys, Broner. But they're like, Broner for me was never, he was never a welterweight, firstly. And I do question how good Broner really was, but I'll let you guys decide how good Broner was. But Khan and Brook, Khan definitely had a great resume. Brook didn't have a great resume, but Brook was a very good fighter. That's another thing I want to get. Brook was a top fighter as well. I rate Kell Brook, and Brook could fight. You know, especially at welterweight, Brook was a formidable welterweight without question. And there's no way that Connor Benn beats either Amir Khan or Kell Brook in their prime. I'm sorry. No chance. Not a chance. Just wouldn't happen. But in terms of now, I think he beats them both fairly comfortably, because they're old, man. They're old. They're old. They're not full-time boxers anymore. They're not full-time boxers anymore. The point I'm trying to make is why isn't we getting the Avenesyan fight? If Connor Benn is what they say he is, he should be fighting David Avenesyan. If he fights and beats David Avenesyan, then we've got something. Then we've got a star. You know, then I'll start backing Connor Benn. If he beats Avenesyan, start backing him, because I'll be like, whoa, he just beat a killer. He beat a really good fighter. He should be fighting Avenesyan. Everybody wants, even my dad was saying he should be fighting Avenesyan. Because everybody wants to see him fight David Avenesyan now, because they think that's the next logical step. Fighting Khan, Brook, Verona, these are old men. And here's the thing. You fight those guys and they put you down or they hurt you or you lose. People will say he's exposed. You know, you fight David Avenesyan, even if you get put down and you come back and win, people will say, wow. You know, the fact is, and here's another thing I want to say about Connor Benn. Connor Benn said that Amir Khan fought Barrera. So why shouldn't he fight me now that he's old and I'm the young up-and-coming guy? He fought Barrera. He did the same thing. No, he didn't. Amir Khan wasn't calling out Barrera like Connor Benn is calling out Amir Khan. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Was Amir Khan calling out Marco Antonio Barrera? Was he calling him out and saying on every video in his car, making videos saying, I want to fight Amir Khan, or I want to fight Marco Antonio Barrera. I want to fight this guy. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't. That fight got made because of the fact that Marco Antonio Barrera still had ambitions to be a world champion, still had ambitions to get to the top. So he thought by beating Amir Khan, I could still get to the top. But Amir Khan was just too fast and too big for him. But Amir Khan wasn't calling for that fight. He wasn't calling out Marco Antonio Barrera. That fight just naturally got made. There's a difference. And when you look at what Khan did after that, Khan went on to win a world title 10 months later against Andres Kotelnik. Then look at Khan's run at world level after that. It was sensational. He gave so many good fights. Now's the time. Listen, when you're riding a cycle, we all have stabilizers, right? When we first start riding, because you fall over, you know, you're not ready to ride without stabilizers. There comes a point where you start to learn how to ride a bike with stabilizers. And it comes to a point where you have to start taking those stabilizers off to see if you can ride the bike without stabilizers, right? The point has now come because Connor Benn has obviously shown that he's above Vargas. He's above guys like Chris Algieri. It's time to take those stabilizers off, and it's time to now throw him in with a decent test. It's time to see whether he can ride the bike without stabilizers. That's what it's time to see. And Connor Benn needs to show us whether he's ready or whether he's good enough for world level, whether he's good enough to win a world title as boxing fans. If he can be Avenesyan, he would have proven, forget Khan, forget Brook, he would have proven that he can now fight for a world title. He's a legitimate world level. I still think he should have one more after that and fight a Kavaliauskas. Like, if I was Connor Benn, I would fight Kavaliauskas. You know, Virgil Ortiz just fought him, you know, Terence Crawford fought him. He troubled both those guys. He hurt those. If you can do a number on Kavaliauskas, but they're not going to fight Kavaliauskas because Kavaliauskas can punch. Avenesyan's not even a big puncher. He's more of a volume puncher. He's not a huge puncher. He's not a huge puncher at all. Kavaliauskas is a big puncher. The guy that stopped Avenesyan, he's a big puncher. But they're not going to put him in with Kavaliauskas. They're not going to put him in with Kavaliauskas. All of the guys that Connor Benn's been fighting have been non-punchers. They've all been non-punchers. You know, Eddie Hearn used to say about Amir Khan. Amir Khan fought Collazo. You know, he fought Zab Judah. He fought Maidana. All of these guys were way better than what, you know. But again, look, I don't want to compare Khan's thing to Benn because Benn hasn't got the experience. But the point I'm trying to make is Benn is now ready. He's 25 years of age. He's just knocked out Algieri. He's ready. Forget about world level. I'm not asking him to fight. I'm asking him to fight a European level guy in Avenesyan. That's what we want to see from Connor Benn. Can he even beat a European champion in Avenesyan? Avenesyan's not a world. I'm telling you, there's 10 welterweights better than that guy. There's 10 welterweights I could pick to beat Avenesyan. I'm telling you. I would pick Ennis. I would pick Ortiz. I would pick Porter. I would pick Ugas. I would pick Spence, Crawford, Thurman, Danny Garcia. All of those guys beat Avenesyan. Even Stanius, is it? Stanius, I think he's Ugas is mandatory. Even he would beat Avenesyan. Kavaliauskas beats Avenesyan. Even Josecito Lopez may be able to beat Avenesyan. I'm telling you. The welterweight division is stacked. Stacked. But like I said to you, Connor Benn, the opponents that they've been picking are very well selected. They're not big punches. They're not big punches. And that to me is normally a sign that they're obviously trying to build him up. They don't want to put him in with anyone dangerous, you see. As Eddie Hearn said about Chris Algieri, couldn't take the skin off a rice pudding. This is what Eddie Hearn said when Amir Khan fought him 6-7 years ago. It's time to step it up. It's time to step it up for those guys and prove to us that, you know, Connor Benn is the real deal. Because it's all good, you know, beating old men, and it's time to step it up, man. It is time to step it up. And listen, I think Connor Benn's a good fighter. He's very well, he's improved massively. You got to give him that respect. Even the way he was slipping punches, it was brilliant. And the other thing about Connor Benn that you've got to give him respect for is Connor Benn's a gym rat. You can tell that this is a guy that works very, very hard. Something that I think guys like Amir Khan, you know, Amir Khan was way more naturally gifted than Connor Benn, but he didn't have that kind of gym rat, you know, ethics like Connor Benn. Connor Benn, I think, lives in the gym. So you can tell he's improving. And you got to respect that. But the point is that now is the time to step up. Now, him calling out Broner isn't going to go down well with the fans, because the fans think he's ducking Avenesyan, because the fans want to see a 50-50 fight. They don't want to see a guy that's, you know, been inactive and way past his sell-by date, because they don't think it's a competitive fight. You know, and they talk. So even when he mentions Ugas, like, he thinks Ugas is going to be... The reason why he's mentioning Ugas, because he thinks that's an easy way to win a world title. He won't beat Ugas. Ugas is a very skilled boxer and very, very good fighter. But in his head, he probably thinks that Ugas is an easier touch than Crawford and Spence, which he is, of course. But that's, you know, Ugas would beat a lot of welterweights. He's a top fighter. He's big. He's tall. He's a great fighter. You know what I mean? I won't beat Ugas. Trust me. But yeah, man, I want to see Connor Benn pushed. Does he knock Amir Khan out in 2 rounds? I'll let you guys think that. I don't think he knocks Amir Khan out in 2 rounds. I think he probably beats Amir because Amir's past his best. But 2 rounds, no. You know, Algieri went 4 or 5 rounds. I'm pretty sure Amir Khan has the experience, you know, to take it a little bit later than that. And you know, you'd have to favour Benn by knockout just because he's young, he's hungry, he wants it. But again, Amir Khan's not going to be like Chris Algieri. He's not going to be a sparring partner in there. He's going to be throwing leather as well. And that's the difference. Amir Khan's always been offensively very gifted. So, yeah, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Connor Benn would knock out Amir Khan in 2 rounds? Do you think Connor Benn needs to move on and fight David Avenesyan? What do you make of him looking to fight Broner? Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.